And we want to welcome all of His Glory Nation from east to west to north to south. I want to welcome to a special Take 5 His Glory Brighteon version. You're going to see an incredibly guest, a great guest every week. We have a great partnership with Brighteon, Mike Adams, Bob, the whole team. Thank you for everything you do, patriots and Christians, to save this country. The remnant is rising in such a time as this that we all have to join forces together to get this republic back in the name of Jesus Christ. And it's great to see all these teams and networks coming together for such a time like this. God is calling each and every one of us to step out of our comfort zones and to activate for His purpose and His glory. We want to thank you for joining us and thank you for helping us in our mission to bring 1 billion souls to Jesus Christ. God bless you and go in His shalom.
When it comes to feeling, working, and performing your best, blood circulation is quite literally the river of life.
The doctors at the Cleveland Clinic said I would never get the feeling back in my left side of my leg. You could literally take a knife to my left thigh and I wouldn't feel it. They basically said, you're a miracle to be alive. There's no way you're going to recover. The very first time I got on the Beamer, I could start feeling it. And then when I got on it more and more and more, I feel my toes now. I feel my thigh back again.
In 2 8-minute sessions a day, Beamer can boost general blood flow and circulation, increase oxygen delivery to your cells, improve rest and relaxation. And the best part? You can get these results while relaxing on your couch, in bed, or in your hotel room. Beamer. Better circulation, better health, better life.
I'm excited to announce we're having a huge MyPillow spring sale, and here's a few examples. Buy one of our MyPillow 2.0s, you get another MyPillow 2.0 absolutely free. Made with cooling technology, the best pillow ever just got even better. And this just in, 9 brand new colors and styles of our Percale bed sheets. They're made with the finest long staple cotton, and now you can save 50% or more. That's as low as $24.98. And for the first time this year, I'm bringing you our My Slippers and Sandals for as low as $25 a pair. So go to MyPillow.com or call the number on your screen. Use your promo code to get your MyPillow 2.0s. Buy one, get one free. Percale sheets as low as $24.98. My Slippers and Sandals as low as $25 a pair. And for a limited time, when you order $75 or more, your entire order ships absolutely free.
Mac Bear and Cheese, Healthy Kids Vitamins. You want your kids to have the best, so why not the best vitamins? These vitamins were developed by people you can trust, not by big pharmaceutical companies out for profits. Essential nutrients for growth, development, and immunity. With a great berry flavor that your kids will love. Keep your kids strong, healthy, and on the go with Mac Bear and Cheese Healthy Kids Vitamins. Get yours today at hisglory.me.
I'm glad you came prepared today because the Lord has a lot to say. He's going to reveal a lot to us, so I'm excited. Now, some people that have watched me, they have heard some of these things, but I know that you haven't, so I'm excited about giving it to you. A lot of intel. That's all I have to say.
Before you start, let me confirm to the audience what I told you before we went on. Is during last week's with you about the tribunals, I was giving a video that proves that it's going on, and there was a name on the loudspeaker that I'm not going to say out loud right now because people would lose their minds. But there is stuff going on behind the scenes. I have actual proof.
Yes, and God's been telling us that things have been going on behind the scenes, and He's saying not to everything is not how it seems to be, and so He's been telling us to walk by faith and not by sight. And He also has been telling us we're watching a movie that's been played out right in front of us, and He's mentioned a lot of there's a lot of actors, there's a lot of things going on that it looks one way when it's actually another. And God's been telling us that for a while. And as believers, we're supposed to believe God and not believe what we're seeing anyway. And that's why even what he says, to walk by faith and not by sight, we are supposed to walk by faith and not by sight, but we're also supposed to fight that good fight of faith. That means no matter what the enemy uses to try to destroy our faith or trust in God, we have to stand strong and trust in God that he is the one in control and not our enemies.
That's right. And at 2 days ago, the mentioning of Klaus Schwab, I got flooded with emails. Julie Green prophecy, Julie Green prophecy. So I had just add on that. This is not my normal intel source, so take that with a grain of salt. But I just had Scott McKay on, and he confirmed this is what he heard from a source too, that it was Delta Force that took Klaus Schwab out.
Wow. Well, God said the angel of death, and no matter what way it happens, you know, the enemies are not going to stay in the positions. And he's talked about how they were not going to survive. Just like Pharaoh didn't survive, they're not going to survive. They sowed death, and they will reap that death. And a lot of these people, it looks like they're in control, and it looks like everything is fine. And God is saying, you have no idea who's alive and who's not right now, who's real or who's an actor.
You know, with that said, this is something I haven't had a chance to talk to Clay about yet. We've been passing like in the night, his schedule, my schedule. We text and try to get together when he's free and I'm free, which is basically never. But anyway, I've been asking a couple of the Israeli generals, 3 of them now, about this Noah Harari guy. And none of them know who he is. And I thought that was strange at first. How do they not? Israel's not a big country. How do you not know who he is? Then I followed up again, and one of them said, what was his exact words? What makes you think he's real? And then another source says they don't think he's real. That it's part of a game and acting because nobody's seen him physically face to face.
Well, I guess that wouldn't really shock me. I know there's videos of him. But they can do anything, just like we talked about with the blue thing that happened or whatever they called it for 9/11.
Blue beam, yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of things that are like a hologram. There's a lot of things that look real. There could be an actor playing a certain part. I mean, there's so many things we've seen in so many different movies. And, you know, I remember even watching, again, my kids love, you know, the Marvel movies back in the day. And there was one with Iron Man. And there was like this terrorist, but he was actually an actor. So they do things like that and they show you these things and they're just, you know, they're blatantly obvious that things are always as they appear to be. And that's why God says for us not to worry about it.
You know, it ties to something else that I heard this week from somebody in the music industry. And I believe this person has said this publicly, so it's not, I don't think, a secret. But he said, I think in the course of the last year or year and a half, whoever he's managing, I don't remember who he's managing, but the concerts that you see are not them actually singing. It's part of a beaming of light and lip syncing through AI. So they're not literally giving a live performance at these events. So that would tie into what the Lord said.
One of my friends was, this was before she knew, you know, the stuff that was going on with Taylor Swift. And she went and she said it was the most demonic, horrid thing that she's ever experienced in her life. I mean, it was not normal. It was just not normal. It was not a normal event. There was like witchcraft. There was like spells. I mean, it was crazy. You know, people think this is like amazing, amazing performance. It's like, no, it's demonic thing. And so they're trying to influence people in any way, shape, or form. And I've heard from a lot of people after they left her concert that there was a lot of people who don't remember. Yeah. They like blacked out, don't remember it. Well, it's because they're under demonic attack. I mean, it's like a demonic control. It's the craziest thing I've ever heard, but it doesn't surprise me that these things are happening.
Well, that's part of MK Ultra and the music industry too. Neuro-linguistic programming, where through music they can write a script on the neuro right on the front of your forehead, and that gets engraved into your mind, so they can control you through music. Music has been one of the biggest ways that they've done that for years.
Mm-hmm. So remember how last week we also talked about all the bridges and the barges and all that crazy cargo ships and all that kind of stuff. That guy's been talking about barges. He's been talking about cargo ships. He's been talking about the water. He's been talking about bridges. Well, another prophecy he gave it, was it 2 years? I can't remember when he gave it exactly now. I have to look up on my piece of paper. I got a lot of stuff to show you that God has prophesied. But right here, we talked about barges. Well, this happened after our last live show because this was only 4 days ago. 26 barges break loose, causing bridge closures and damage to a marina on Ohio River.
Oh, yeah.
26 barges got loose. So you have the one in New York that loses control, out of power. That almost hits the bridge. We obviously know about Baltimore. There's one in Oklahoma. There was another one in Ohio. And now you're talking about 26 barges that just somehow break loose and cause damage to a marina in Ohio. God said, watch the water. God talked about barges, cargo ships, bridges. He's saying these things because he's letting people know this is not a coincidence. These things are not accidental. These things are on purpose to cause mass chaos, to cause destruction, and God is warning us about it before they were actually coming to pass. Yep. God is giving us this intel and warning us, this is what the enemies are trying to do to you. Pay attention. Not only pay attention, but pray. That's what we're supposed to do right now. So you have the cargo ship loses power near, cargo ship loses power near New York Bridge incident. And it was, it kind of was looking like the Baltimore incident. The one in New York was very similar to Baltimore. And now not only Baltimore, remember we talked about it when we knew it was not accidental? Well, now it's under FBI or a federal criminal investigation.
That's right.
Too many people. This is the reason it's so good that people are pushing back. Because it was so blatantly obvious when you have a cargo ship like that, it doesn't make that kind of turn. And they wouldn't have been in that place where they were at. And right. They should have had the little tugboats or whatever, tugging them along. They shouldn't have been by themselves. And they're supposed to go out in the open water. But how they did it, it was just like a sharp turn like that. Well, even if they would have lost power, it wouldn't have done that. So none of it made sense. And enough people made that comment. It went viral all over the place because people weren't falling for their narrative. And that's right. What we have to continue to do is not fall for their narrative and speak out about what's going on and knowing that they can't fool us because we're not stupid.
Well, one of the things that Americans woke up about when the FBI came out and said there's no terror to this, minutes after any investigative branch of anything, you wait till the facts come in before you make a decision. It's like that. It was too early. There's no way anybody could have known at that time that quick.
No. And again, what were they trying to do? They were trying to deceive us. They were trying to get us distracted into paying attention to something else. And they said it wasn't anything. So then we'll believe it because that's what people used to do. They used to believe what the internet said. Now, right. God also talked about bridges. Well, God has talked about the Golden Gate Bridge. 3 separate occasions. Okay. He talked about the Golden Gate Bridge. Well, in this one, in February 12th of 2024, he talked about the Golden Gate Bridge and he says, the Golden Gate Bridge, I say this again, will be in your news for a significant reason. All right. Now that's one of them. That was from February 12th of 2024. Then there was another one. And this was the one he just gave out on March 29th of 2024. Now the video was played, or I did it on live stream, I should say. I did it on live stream on April 3rd. So it was on live on April 3rd, but I heard it on March 29th. Golden Gate Bridge. I'll mention this location and bridge again. News will break and many will shake at what happens to that bridge and location. I told you a great shaking was coming, but now in some places, people will realize the time is closer than they thought. Well, people automatically would think that the shaking, there's going to be an earthquake shaking or something like that. No, God also said in a prophetic word about 2 weeks before that, he said there's going to be shaking civilly.
Yep.
Well, there was a shaking civilly on the Golden Gate Bridge.
Yep.
Why? Because what they're doing is they're trying to cause mass chaos. Now, not only did they shut down that Golden Gate Bridge for 5 hours. Now, again, there's another prophecy on Golden Gate Bridge. There was 3 of them. But I'm just showing you this for now because there's a lot to go over. So they closed that bridge down. They closed down the bridge in New York City, the George Washington Bridge, and then they closed down a road in order to get to O'Hare Airport. And it was in protest of the United States of America shooting down the rockets and helping Israel with the attack from Iran. So you have people chanting death to America on our own soil. You have people burning our flags on our own soil. And you notice they're paid.
Yep.
How did they strategically, in all 3 of these major cities, on the same day, how did they know? How did they, these massive groups, nation or state, stateswide, how could they, you know what? That attack was what, the day before that? How did they align in 24 hours or 48 hours? They couldn't have done that. That takes time to plan. So you know that if they would have known something about Iran, then they would have had to know that first and foremost. So that just gets into the other prophecies that I'm going to reveal to you about. Not only was that plan from Iran planned by our own government. Not only was it planned by our own government, it was funded by our own government. Not only was it funded by our own government, but they're also planning one here. And the day the Lord talked about Iran and said, Iran is going to attack your nation. When it was probably about 10 hours after that, I saw something on YouTube. I don't know exactly what it was, and I couldn't find it again. But there was something that said that New York City was on high alert from attack from Iran. A retaliation from the United States of America shooting down those rockets and helping Israel. Yep. But also God talked about, not only was there going to be an attack from Iran, but God also said that our government is funding Iran and they're help funding Israel. Well, he also said in a prophecy, this was just from, I gave it live on air. Today's Wednesday. This would have been Monday. They have paid it for it financially. Let me read it up in the one before that. My United States, this attack was not just for them. Let's talk about Israel. Not just for Israel. This attack is for you as well. An attack is coming on your land, to your nation from the land of Iran, Afghanistan, and those in China. An attack is coming. Yes, it is. It will look like it's coming from foreign nations and foreign lands. Yes, they are being used. But your attack, O United States, is coming from within. It's coming from your leaders. It's coming from your government, the ones who say they protect you, the ones who say they are in control. They have paid for it financially. They have paid your enemies to do what they are about to do to your land. I will show you how they used your borders. I will show you how they got in and show you how they got in, not only in your nation, but how they got into your government, into your court system, and how they got in everywhere. Well, last night around 4:30, I think it was 4:30 Eastern time. Maybe it was 4:30 Central time. It was New York Post came out and said that Biden unlawfully funded Hamas and gave them $1.8 billion. So God is saying these things to us and warning us about what is really going on. Not only are we looking like, so you know how we helped, supposedly fight those attackers off? Yes, they were used, the Biden regime, or basically Obama regime, was like, okay, we're going to look like the good guys when we're really not. But it was also to make Iran mad for them to cause chaos here.
Yep. To
wake up the sleeper cells and start their attack.
Well, we've been several generals that come on publicly about Iran have said this before this bridge thing happened. You're right. It's all orchestrated. It's being planned. They know exactly where to go, how to fund it. But the generals were saying there are sleeper cells in all top 40 cities, and they're waiting for the signal from Ayatollah of Iran to do whatever event that they want to do. And then you're seeing what happened in 2020 with Antifa, Black Lives Matter, a civil unrest all over the country. It's going to be planned with Islam, pro-Palestinian. You saw it at the White House again yesterday. That's part of the plan and destruction, and it's going to open up an opportunity for a 9/11 event far worse than 9/11.
Yep. God said that we're going to fill the streets. He's been saying that for 2 years,
Yep.
2 or 3 years. He's been talking about attacks in this country for a long time. He's been talking about what they are doing, like a 9/11 style attack, but in many major cities. He's been talking about how this is what all they are going to do. He's been saying this for a very, very long time. Now he's just getting more specific, and he's getting more. I didn't know what the general said because I'm not listening. You know, I can't listen to anything.
Yep.
But at the same time, God is telling us not only are they doing this, but your own government is funding it. They're allowing it, but they're funding it. They're giving our enemies money to attack our country. Why do you think that they're letting so many people? This is an invasion in our country.
Right.
On purpose. This is the Trojan horse that God's been talking about. This is something that they were doing it from within to take us out from within. If they can't do it from the outside, they can't do it with rockets, or they can't do it with certain things like that. They're going to do it from within and try to tear us apart. And what they're trying to do is try to tear us apart civilly. They want civil unrest. And another thing they're trying to do is civil unrest. If you have civil unrest, you can cause shortages. You can cause mass chaos and all these different things. You can cause massive amounts of fear. You can cause things to be completely disrupted. You can also, if they do it to a certain degree, so say, for instance, there is an attack on our country, and we're under a state of war or state of emergency. What else do? They can stop an election.
Yep.
And they're getting to them so desperate that they're using this ridiculous court case against President Trump. It has no standing whatsoever. It is so ridiculously made up. It makes no sense. But they're saying they're going to try to throw him in jail for 30 days for contempt of court. For what? You think about that. They're that desperate to get him to shut up and to get him. And I think he was egging them on. Well, fine. You know, you can throw me in jail, but I'm still going to do my job. Like, you're not going to stop me from doing it. I don't think they'll do it. I think they're bluffing. I mean, if they did that, I think it would cause mass stir up everywhere.
Oh my goodness.
That's like, you know how the mugshot did all this stuff with Trump and got more people on the side that they never thought would vote for him, and all these different ethnic groups that would never vote for him, and it's turned people to such a degree. Can you imagine if they did that?
I think President Trump would welcome that to happen, because his popularity would be is already through the roof, but it would go another 8 to 10 points.
Mm-hmm. So there is so much. I'm trying to figure out. There is this one prophecy that I have. It's pretty much the whole entire prophecy I have highlighted to give to you. It's that much intel. Like, there's that much to it. So this one it says is another one. This is from the 15th. I had 2 major prophecies on the 15th. One was right before the live show, and one was during the live show. So I already gave you the one during the live show. This is the one right before the live show that I actually gave it out yesterday, the 16th. And he mentions Iran again, and he mentions Hamas, Hezbollah, and ISIS. Very specific. He says, it looks like they have made plans against my Israel, but remember what I've told you. I have dragged them by their mouths down to my nation. It was a trap to destroy Iran, to destroy Hamas, to destroy Hezbollah, and to destroy ISIS. So God is saying he allowed them to do what they were doing against Israel to destroy him. Just like he did how he just brought Pharaoh down with all of his men to the Red Sea to destroy them. Just like he said with the war of Gog and Magog in Ezekiel 38, how he's going to drag them down by a hook in their mouth. So God's saying he was dragging them down because he's going to destroy them. But also look what he says here. Then he goes on to say, their silent terror cells they've tried to raise up in this nation will not be able to do the damage they originally had planned against you. I've allowed certain things, my children, to prove to the world the Washington establishment was playing both sides. They were funding Iran at the same time helping Israel, just to pay Iran to attack your nation. So now he's telling us we're paying Iran to attack our country. Then he goes on. Your enemies in your own land want to bring war to stop this election and to cripple this nation. They will stop at nothing. They will signal. You said signal. Guess what he just said? They will signal to foreign lands it's time to attack, to awaken the cells that are here to attack you internally. What you have seen so far was slow. Now they will try to put this into a hyperdrive.
Hydrogen is used by health professionals as a powerful antioxidant and the #1 tool to fight inflammation. Studies show therapeutic potential in cancer, diabetes, digestive, and heart issues, and essentially every organ and system in the body. This is not medical advice, because I'm not your doctor, but if you have any health concerns, I strongly recommend that you learn more about hydrogen. Get educated at holyhydrogen.com and order the best hydrogen generator known to man. Use code HISGLORY for $100 off your order. Because hydrogen is the smallest molecule in existence, it can pass through the cell membrane and even the blood-brain barrier to clear out inflammation and free radical damage where other antioxidants just can't get to. Visit holyhydrogen.com to see the latest technology that elevates your immune system and fights inflammation. Search their research library to see if hydrogen has a track record for helping a health concern you're dealing with. Make sure to use code HISGLORY for $100 off your order. Remember, holyhydrogen.com.
If you feel like you're stuck with a health plan that doesn't meet your needs, costs too much, or for whatever reason you're just not happy with, there is another choice. It's called MediShare. The typical family saves $500 a month. Plus, you get access to an extensive doctor's network and a no-cost 24/7 telehealth option. So no, you're not stuck. There is another choice. When I think about the difference that MediShare makes relative to the countless other healthcare options that we were on, we never felt so known as individuals.
And MediShare is a community. Every member is a part of that community, so why would you not try it?
Come be a part of something you can believe in. MediShare is a community of Christians who share each other's healthcare bills. It's no wonder MediShare has a 98% customer satisfaction rating. Come, find out why MediShare is the most trusted name in healthcare sharing.
Welcome, His Glory Nation. Our new partner, Global Tech MD, a faith-based, full complementary healthcare telemedicine company that offers both medical and holistic healing. You choose which is right for you and your family. Global Tech MD's traditional health plan is only $29.95 a month. Go to hisglory.me and click on our partner page and follow the link Global Tech MD. Enter promo code HISGLORY and receive your first month for only $9.95.
And we're back. As we were just going into the break, it jogged my memory, Julie, that the general was telling me that 99.9% of the rockets were stopped, which is a miracle in itself because usually they only get 90. But out of all the debris that came down, because you stop a rocket, the debris has to go somewhere. 400 rockets, they still come down on somebody's house. He hadn't heard, and I still have not heard of a single house that's been damaged because of that. And get this, as I was telling you in the break, the report he told me was people from, I think he said Iran. Iran was saying that the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, the Israeli God, stopped the rockets, like in the Iraq War.
You know, again, just like what happened with the children of Israel and Goshen, the Egyptians saw they were not affected. They saw that. Yep. And so just like Hamas and just like, Iran and all that, they're seeing that they're failing and only God could have intercepted in that. And so literally, this is why I tell everybody when the Lord was talking about how, the foreign nations were going to attack us. And again, he mentioned the foreign lands and 3 of them that time he said that were Iran, Afghanistan, and China. But there's going to be other foreign nations that are along in that are here because there's a lot of them that are here from a lot of different countries. But these are the major ones. Like China's the major one. China is already here, and China has been coming from even from the north. And people don't realize, they don't talk about the Canadian border.
Right.
There's a lot of things that are going on. They're in our government. They're spies. They're infiltrators. And God is saying he's going to expose all these things. So when we see these attacks on our country, there will be allowed something. I was telling you that on the break. There will be allowed to some degree.
Yep.
Just like there was allowed to some degree in Israel on October 7th. There will be allowed to some degree. Why? Because Israel had to know, first of all, they had infiltrators. They had to know that they have people spying. They have people in their government that are against them. They had to know that God is the only one that can save them. And no matter what they try, no matter what they do, they can't rely on themselves. They have to realize that God is the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and he's still the one who protects. They have to rely on him fully. Just like us in this country, we have to all turn to him and rely to him fully, because God said everything that can be shaken will be. And now we're starting to see these things shake. So that's why we have to pay attention. And the next one, he talks about the same prophetic word, and he gets into this, and now he's talking about Mexico.
Oh.
This is huge. Remember when the Mexican government came out, the president, and he said he was demanding that Biden give him billions of dollars. I thought that was interesting when somebody told me that, and I was like, okay, that's weird. But God's been telling us, again, things are not how they appear to be. And when he was telling me about Mexico, and I forgot about that whole thing with that, this is what jogged my memory. When he said this in this prophetic word, he said, a shock will come from Mexico. Explosive proof is coming to show you how Mexico is paid to allow terrorists through their nation to guarantee their access to your country by your government. Guaranteeing Mexico that those terrorists would not target them or stay in their land, but they would come here. So our government is paying Mexico to be like that country that lets these horrible, evil terrorists in to be used to get to them, to get to us through our border, so the Mexican-United States border. But Mexico wanted our country to pay them for their security, that those terrorists would not stay there and terrorize their country. So then he goes on. Then he says, many secrets at your southern border are about to be exposed in a major way. So again, it's going more along the lines of what's going on with that southern border in Mexico. He says the FBI, the CIA, and the establishment were all part of helping the invasion in your country to stop my David and to destroy America from within. And he says, my children, war has started in your land by the hands of the ones who supposedly run your nation. But I will expose all the treason, all the plots, and all attempts to attack, to take down this country. He says, I have infiltrators. Because God has been saying for the last 3 years, he's infiltrated the infiltrators. I have infiltrators in the FBI. That means God's people. In your CIA. In your White House. In your Congress. In your Senate. And in the Supreme Court. Mm-hmm. And all around the border, there is nowhere I can't see, and there isn't any place your enemies are safe from me. So he has people on the inside everywhere. Because he knew, remember, God knows in the beginning. He's the Alpha, he's Omega. He knew exactly they were going to steal all these elections. He knew exactly who they were going to put in place. He knows these things. He's an all-knowing God, an all-seeing God. He's omnipotent. He's everywhere. So he has people strategically placed, and he also has proof, because all these people are strategically placed. There's traps set up everywhere.
There is.
So
from a intel perspective, what you just said, what the Lord told you is absolutely spot on. We know that Mexico is paying off the cartel. Our government is paying the cartel directly to bring in the worst of the worst. I don't remember who the investigative reporter is, But a well-named investigative reporter just confirmed, I believe last week, that Venezuela and Guatemala, they emptied their prisons of the worst and they put them here in the United States. They're here. This is what President Trump said would happen. Yeah. And when our southern border documentary, which we should have out in the next week or two, this is just by the grace of God. How we ended up in this meeting, I have no idea. We were in a meeting with an NGO, and she was bragging how she was taking money from the government, and they would give them money, and they were human trafficking and giving them tickets and sending them everywhere. And so we don't have to worry about funding. We have unlimited funding. All we do is send an invoice to the government. They pay it. We ship them out. She admitted on camera.
Who was this?
They're smuggling people. It'll be in the documentary. I can't remember her name off the top of my head, but it's a nonprofit down in Arizona.
Wow. I didn't know
I went there with Chief Jessup on our trip when I spent a day we were there 8 days. I spent a day with Sheriff Daniels, a day with Sheriff Lamb, and then Chief Jessup brought us into this meeting, and she admitted it. So all this stuff is coming true. And then infiltrators. I was just told, I don't know if I said this last Wednesday or I got this afterwards, but it was confirmed. Don't worry about FISA being approved because there's some aspects of FISA that are going to work against them.
Oh, no, you didn't say that.
So that would mean that there's an infiltrator somewhere in the FISA process that's going to catch them at what they're trying to catch somebody else.
See, God always knows. And that's why he always puts up these plans and he always puts up these traps for them. And when the enemies are thinking that they're getting away with everything they want, they're doing everything they want, then God goes, no, you don't. And he stops it. And that's what we have to put that trust in God that God's got it, just like he did in the Bible so many different times. So then God goes in the same one. And this is the next paragraph. He says, my United States. Hezbollah is in your nation. Hamas is in your nation. ISIS is in your nation. Terrorists from China are in your nation. You're talking about these major players, Hezbollah, Hamas, ISIS, China. They're already here. And then he goes on to say, there are many enemies here to bring destruction. Many traps have been set. They will never get the war, the chaos, to the degree they wanted. They will never be able to murder to the amount of people that they want to murder. They will never be able to sabotage all they want to sabotage. They won't get the economic collapse as they wanted. There's still going to be an economic collapse.
Yep.
And death from viruses as they wanted. Control as they wanted all over the world. The fear they wanted because I am here and I am here to stay. So he's talking about how, again, we have terrorists all over the place. And we know that because we've seen a couple of them. And I know we talked about on the show that we've been on before about how there was at least 2 of them that got on with news reporters and they were saying, you don't know who I am. You don't know who I am. If you knew who I am, you'd be spared of me, blah, 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 blah. Well, we know, okay, people thought, okay, there's a couple terrorists. No, there are many. There are cells. These are leaders from these terrorist groups of Hamas, ISIS, Hezbollah that are being funded by our government and allowed to be in this country. Do you think that person right then and there should have been kicked out? ISIS should have gotten them. I mean, not ISIS, but ICE should have gotten them. Our Border Patrol, somebody should have gotten them. But I'm pretty sure he's still here. He's somewhere here. But in other things, you know how they're given cell phones?
Yep.
I wonder why they're given cell phones. Not just to be nice to them, just to give them freebies. Cell phones can track you.
Yep. We know where they're at. A year ago, I think I probably said this on one of these Wednesdays, but a year ago, it's confirmed. There's no controversy whether there's Hezbollah in the top 40 states. All the generals that come on confirm that. Sheriff Lamb, Sheriff Daniels, when I was with them, they confirmed that on record that we know terrorists are in all 40 states. And they're waiting for that signal, as the Lord said, an activation to trigger that. And Sheriff Daniels and Sheriff Lamb, I asked the question, what's it going to take for America to wake up? And both of them, not talking to each other, said the same thing. And General Valley said the same thing. It's going to take a 9/11 event to get people to wake up. They're here. But like you just said, we can track them. That's tracking both ways. We know where they're at. A year ago, I asked a question to some generals that know. And I said, do we know where all these terrorists are? And he said, we know where about 90% are. I'm like, so that we don't know where 10% are? A couple months ago, I asked the same person the same question. He said, we know where they all are now. Mm-hmm. But still, if you know where they are, they still can get one off. But at least we know where they're at. And
we know they're not going to get it as bad as they want. They will get it. They will get. And again, that's why Guy's been warning. That's why they will get some type of an attack. They will. We don't know what it is, but it won't be to the degree that they want it. God has to allow this because one thing he said in a prophecy, I think he's mentioned it more than once. What will it take to wake you up? What will it take? How much does it have to shake? That's why he allows shakings. Shakings is not just for destruction of the enemy. Shaking is for waking his people up to start getting on their knees, start praying, repenting, whatever it is, because we've become too lackadaisy and too complacent. God showed me about 14 years ago, and he was showing me this prophetic word. He said, my children are living in their own little bubbles, and they're only seeing and only caring about what's going on in this little bubble of theirs and not seeing the whole entire big picture. But I'll tell you, an attack like that will pop somebody's bubble when it comes close to home. When you have an election threatened, when you have, people are just like, there's too many people. And this is another thing the Lord is warned about. Too many people are counting on this next election to save everything. Oh, everything is going to be fine as soon as we get to this election. And God's saying, stop it. An election's not going to save you. He's going to save us. Just like the Iron Dome couldn't have saved all of Israel. God had to save them. So we cannot rely on man-made things. The land of Israel could not rely on that Iron Dome by itself. They had to rely on God because the Iron Dome could only go to a certain percent. But God can cover the whole thing.
Amen. And
God said with the election, he said, you can't have an election to solve your problem. You need a reset. Because an election will only enter in certain amount of people, but you still have the bad ones in.
Right.
You need a whole entire reset or start over. That is how big this is going to be. It can't just be normal days, normal ways. It has to be something else.
So there was a poll that came out, I think either yesterday or this morning, one of the two, Rasmussen poll. And this is concerning about the morale or the morals of this country. 28% of the people surveyed said they would cheat for their candidate to win an election. 28% of Americans, that's both parties. That's not just Democrats, that's Republicans and Democrats. 28% of both parties said they would cheat to get their person. And the Rasmussen talked about how many votes that would mean. That would be an influx of 45 million votes that would be fraudulent if they did that. Voting is not going to get us out of this.
No, and cheating is ridiculous. I remember back in the 2020 election, and I thought it was weird. Unbeknownst to me, I'm just an honest person, so I wasn't going to do it. It would never even cross my mind. Never. We had probably 5, 6, 7 ballots that were sent to our house. Mail-in ballots. We never asked for mail-in ballots. And I looked at my husband, I'm like, well, there's not even that many people who live here. And there wasn't all the people who lived here that were over age and older. There's only 3 of us that could have voted. So I ripped them up and I threw them in the trash. And we actually voted in person. And it wasn't until after the election was over, because I didn't really think about it. I'm like, well, why are they sending me a mail-in ballots? That's just stupid. Ripped them up, throw them in the trash. It wasn't until after the election I was like, oh my gosh, how many people did they do it to? And how many people sent in? Multiple ballots. And I was like, again, because you don't think like that. You don't think like a criminal because you're not a criminal. But I also thought, well, if you vote more than once, you'd be in trouble, right? Apparently not in this country right now. So
No.
that's the reason why we have to realize God said unconventional. He's been saying all these things are going to happen in unprecedented ways. I'm even seeing the word unprecedented in the news all over the place now.
Yeah,
Oh, I can't wait to get so many of these prophecies. Oh, there's so much right now. Okay. Now this one's going to this is about Obama. And then I have another prophecy. This was given to me on the 6th. I have not given out yet. I was going to give it out this morning and then God changed it. About another book that I can't wait to tell you about. So another secret book. All right. So this is about Obama. This is still from the 15th. Obama, your days are numbered for destroying my nation and having it under your chokehold. I will soon show the world how you have brought your buddies here to destroy this country. So God has been basically saying his buddies were ISIS. Well, because, you know, he formed ISIS and he paid for them back when he was president. Hezbollah, Hamas, and, you know, China and all them. They're his buddies. That's what God is saying. You have you brought your buddies here to destroy this country. How the puppet in the White House is not only controlled by you, but blackmailed by you, manipulated by you, but your puppet will not be your puppet much longer. The strings have been cut and things will continue to backfire on you, and your puppet will take a fall he will not recover from. This is very interesting what he said. You will not be able to replace him with another. And he had me put that part in bold. Because we know he's replaced him with more than one person already. And God is saying he's cutting it off. You're not going to be able to replace him with anyone else. That means you can't fake it anymore. You can't fake who the Biden is. You can't fake that he's really Joe. That's what God's saying. So then he goes on. He's not done with Obama. Your demonic control over this nation, over its capital, over its people is finished. Your days are short, just as they were for Pharaoh controlling my people in Egypt. When people on your side will be caught in their acts of attacks, they will sing like canaries. And they will tell who paid them and the plot to bring down the nation. But I have my people all over the place and all around this nation you didn't see or know that they were with me to stop you. Obama, this is not your country. It's not under your control. You don't have power over it. You don't have control over it, over my people. I will show you that I am the Most High God. Obama, your reign over this nation is through, and so is everyone with you. I will show you that I'm the one who's in control. I will show you that this is my nation and not yours, saith the Lord of hosts.
I wouldn't want to be him.
Strings. He talks about how he's going to bring Obama down. He talks about how he's going to show about the puppet strings with Biden. But not only is the original, like Joe, how Joe was blackmailed, how Joe did all these crimes, and then how they blackmailed and manipulated this other person who was called the Biden that God calls him. And God says,
at his glory, we're going to reach 1 billion souls and every one of the 7 mountains of his kingdom. We're at war. And to win a war, we need the people in the trenches. And the trenches are the kingdom builders. So why do you partner with his glory? So that you can be a part of this 1 billion soul harvest. It takes each and every one of us to do our part to reach his kingdom, all for his purpose and all for his glory. Your partnership is not just financial support, it's a covenant with God to reclaim the moral and spiritual landscape of our society. As we each do our part, we anticipate a revival fire to sweep across nations, transforming families, communities, and ultimately the world. We believe in the power of standing together under the anointing of God to see a great awakening. We honor your commitment, we pray for you daily, and we stand in the faith with you for God's anointing to work mightily in your life. We can't do it without you. We need kingdom builders to help us build the kingdom. 1 billion souls for Jesus Christ. We're all in it together, and we need your help to reach that 1 billion goal harvest. Donation tiers, Kingdom Monthly, for less than the cost of a daily coffee, you can contribute to our expansive mission. Bronze Monthly, symbolizing the price of a gallon of gas. This tier reminds us that the journey to eternity for many souls can start with your contribution. Silver Monthly, your generous contribution at this level supports our initiatives across 7 mountains of influence, from education to media, ensuring that Christian voice is heard loud and clear. Gold Monthly, As a gold partner, you are laying the foundation for significant impact. Your commitment enables us to mobilize Christians from cultural transformation and revival. Platinum Monthly. The premier partnership tier offers you exclusive access to private Bible studies with Pastor Dave, allowing for deeper spiritual growth and insight. Your support is the cornerstone of our mission to effect global change. Every penny counts in our collective effort to save our country and reach 1 billion souls for Christ. Your small sacrifice can bring in eternal rewards. Join us in this journey to awaken the world for His glory.